We've all heard of an October lull, but what happens when a cold front occurs in October? Well, Heath and Lindsey Martin, they believe that's a good time to be in the woods.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops, also by Reconics, Trophy Rock, Eagle Seed, Nikon, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Blood Sport Arrows, Flatwood Natives, Morel Targets, Caldwell Shooting Supplies, Hooks Custom Calls, Montana Decoy, Summit Tree Stands, Drake Non-Typical Clothing, Howe's Lubricator, Genesis No-Till Drill, Yamaha, Fourth Arrow, Scent Crusher, iScope, Boneview, Mossy Oak Properties of the Heartland, Code Blue, Decode, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
This year, Heath and Lindsey had scouted some new food plot locations on their Kansas lease. They'd found a couple of openings and planted some Eagle Seed monster wheat in those openings and placed a couple redneck ghillie blinds next to them. Heath likes the simplicity of broadcasting Eagle's wheat into native grass areas, and then when it rains, the wheat germinates, the grass is going dormant, you've got an instant food plot. With a great cold front for October forecast, Heath and Lindsey are excited to go hunting. The forecast seems to be holding true, so Heath and Lindsey hit the road for Kansas. This hunt occurred during the early pre-rut. There's not much scrape activity yet, so Heath and Lindsey are going to focus on the food plots.
We're tucked into a ghillie blind here. Redneck ghillie blind overlooking a little, I don't know, quarter acre, little wheat food plot, Eagle Seed wheat food plot we put in. And we got a trophy rock on this big old rock out here in the middle of the food plot. Anyway, we will shoot some does, or a doe today if we get the opportunity. There's a couple of good mature bucks that are coming through here occasionally. I don't know if we'll see them today, but you know, obviously that's why you go hunting. So we've had a rain come through last night, kind of the first cold front of the year. It's going to be super high pressure today and tomorrow. It's going to get down in the low, like 37 tomorrow morning. It's in the 40s this morning, so the next couple of days should be pretty good hunting. So we're going to hunt a day or two and see what we can get into.
Heath is up first, and just as the sun's coming over the horizon, a couple of does slip into the plot. Heath makes a perfect double lung at 15 yards. The doe expires just outside the plot.
Probably a 15-yard shot. Don't get much better than that. Just nice broadside, perfect steel. They didn't know what hit them. The other doe and that little buck stood around for several minutes before they actually ran off. So first day to hunt in October the 15th. Whew. Got one down.
Check out the hole that dead meat broadhead put in Heath's doe. We've seen this over and over again this year and are super impressed with this head.
Well, we got my doe drug back out here in the food plot here in front of the ghillie blind here, and I just can't say enough about these ghillie blinds. They're just phenomenal. You tuck these things back in a tree stand or back under the timber here on the edge of a food plot, and when this doe walked about 15 yards, she didn't have a clue we were anywhere in the country. Stopped her, had plenty of time to make a good shot, hit her dead center, you know, perfect double lung. And she runs 100 yards. I mean, that's classic how you want to do a whitetail hunt. So this is the first time we've been out this year here on October the 15th. Like I said, there was a cold front come through last night with some rain. It's pretty cool this morning with a brisk northwest wind. It's going to be even colder tomorrow, so we're hoping the next couple days are really good. But for now, we're celebrating. We got backstrap in the freezer. We're not going to go hungry this winter.
It's been a successful day in Kansas, and it looks like there's going to be fresh backstraps for dinner. The next morning is Lindsey's turn. The temperatures have dropped to 37 degrees, and that's quite a treat for this time of October. The wind is still good for the blind where Heath hunted yesterday, so they return to the same spot. After they settle in the blind, they can see several deer in the plot. Once light starts breaking, a beautiful doe walks 23 yards from the redneck blind. Great double lung shot, Lindsey.
Well, good morning. This is our last morning, Heath and I's last morning here in Kansas for this trip. And we're
While Lindsey's talking about the doe she just shot, he spots a big buck. Within moments, coming toward the plot is a beautiful 10-point buck. When he gets close, he skirts the plot and keeps on going. It's very quiet, and Heath and Lindsey remain calm and let the live decoy continue enjoying the trophy rock. They hope that that young buck will signal to the more mature buck that it's calm and there's no reason to be alert. Suddenly, the big buck circles back into the plot just off camera. When the young buck moves off, the 10 makes his way toward one of Lindsey's shooting windows.
ducked and rolled a little bit. He ducked a lot and rolled a little bit with the shot, so it ended up being a little bit higher than what I would have liked. But we could hear him huffing out there, so I feel pretty confident we got in his lungs, and so we may give him about 10 more minutes, and we got several blood trails out there to track, so I'm gonna put lots of venison in the freezer after this couple of days, so I'm excited. And I guess with that, I'm tagged out in Kansas.
There's two neat observations about this buck. Did you notice he sniffed his way to the blood sport arrow Lindsey used to shoot the doe And did you see how far this buck dropped? Lindsey's shot placement was perfect, right on the brown and white line. But this buck dropped so far, he actually went down on his front leg.
Well, so here's my doe for the morning. She went, we're probably, by the time she kind of swooped around, she probably went about 50 yards or so, piled up out here. So, man, she's a pretty doe. She's got a pretty height on her. And so I'm proud of her. She's gonna make some good venison for the freezer, that's for sure.
After recovering the doe, Lindsey picks up the trail of the buck.
Whew. Well, here he is. Yeah, baby. Just carrying the arrow. Oh, he's a big guy. He gave us a really good blood trail, easy to follow. He ducked a little bit, so obviously the arrowed him just a little higher than ideal, but it was a strong blood trail that was really easy to follow. So those strikers do a really good job with my bow. I'm proud of him. It was a fun hunt this morning. We have had a couple of really fun days over the last few days out of that food plot. So this time of year, mid-October, they are hammering that wheat. Had a little cold front come in for the past few days. Pressure was right, and the deer were sure moving. So they were good to me. And like I said, I'm tagged out here in Kansas.
Congratulations, Heath and Lindsey, on a great trip to Kansas. That's 3 deer down in just a couple of days, all due to a cold front during October. You ready to go hunting, Pops? Back at the proving grounds, we've also been busy. Okay. Yeah. Last week, Daniel shared that I recently took my dad for his 2-year post-chemo checkup. It's a huge praise that no cancer was found, and I certainly appreciate all the prayers from Growing Deer viewers. But I gotta tell you, the chemo's been really rough on Dad. He's lost a lot of weight, and he's still fighting to recover. When we returned from the Mayo, Dad was ready to get in the woods. Let's do this. Is that crosshairs focused? Is that better or worse? Is that better or worse?
Hold it right there.
Is that where you want it?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel had harvested 2 does from the prickly pear food plot last week, but there was still a good pattern of does used in the area. Based on the forecast wind direction and the ease of getting Dad to that plot, interns Wes and Tyler moved a ghillie blind to the east end of that plot so we could get Dad within about 10 feet of the plot, take him out of truck to the blind, and have a hunt. We were celebrating no cancer found after 2 years, and it was my dad's 87th birthday.
Getting pretty old, but I still love to hunt. I'm fresh out of males. I got a fairly good checkup. I'm gonna try my luck on bow hunting again, and I love to hunt. I appreciate my boy taking me, and he's done wonderful for all these years.
And today is my dad's 87th birthday. So we're hoping God blesses us with a birthday buck. Last year my dad killed a buck on his birthday. We're hoping for a repeat this year.
Yes, hope he's been bigger this year.
But you'd take a doe, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Now, how about a turkey? Would you shoot a turkey?
You better believe it.
Yeah, he likes fresh turkey. So we're going to get quiet here. We've got a food plot. We're back to prickly pear. We're actually hunting over the older part. We used to have a little hidey-hole food plot. We expanded it this summer. We've shared that with you. But in the hidey-ho, we'd built up more organic matter, and we've been in such a wicked drought that where we had more organic matter has actually held more moisture, and crops are doing better. Out where it was brand new, the timber was cleared, of course we don't have any organic matter built up yet, and you can tell the crop is not growing near as good there as where we have years of organic matter. Just another testimony to the buffalo system. But today, it's all about celebrating Dad and 87 years of good health and being a great dad, and we're going to have a great hunt.
I appreciate the build-up.
My dad, which we all lovingly call Pops, and I think alike. I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than spending it in the deer woods. Tyler, Dad, and I got settled in, and it wasn't long before a deer entered the plot. We saw the young deer in the plot, and Dad was ready to sit back and enjoy the sights. A bit later, we spotted a buck across the plot, and I could tell my dad's excitement ramped up several levels. As the buck fed closer, I could tell my dad was getting ready. He was holding the crossbow, but I could also tell he was extremely excited. The buck was about 35 yards when Dad decided to shoot.
Grunt.
You were high. You shot over him a couple feet.
I could tell before the arrow got to the buck, it was gonna be high. The buck ran off unharmed. Dad and I had some hugs and laughs and celebrated being able to hunt at 87 years of age. I can't wait for Dad to feel a little bit better so I can take him hunting again. I want to take a moment and sincerely thank all of y'all that have been praying for my dad's recovery. Pop started me hunting when I was very young, and I've continued that tradition and started Raleigh and Ray hunting at an early age, and we still enjoy hunting together. So I was thrilled a few days after my dad's birthday when Ray told me she was getting out of school a tad bit early and could hunt that afternoon. One of our food plots called Blue Hoe had a good pattern of deer using it, and that was an ideal spot to take Ray. Normally, we only hunt the plots in the bottom by the creek on a strong north wind or a cold day when the thermals are going down. If we have a south wind going up the creek, it tends to just swirl in the bottom. But with the forecast of a 20-mile-an-hour wind, I assumed there wouldn't be any swirling and our scent would be pushed out of the area.
It's 70 degrees right now and we've got a good wind. There's rain and a cold front coming in tomorrow, so hopefully the deer will be moving. Tonight I'm looking for either a bigger doe or a nice sized buck. We're not in Southpaw's area, but that's fine. I've shot a couple bucks out of this field before, so hopefully it'll work this year too.
Only a short time after entering the blind, we spotted a fawn in the plot. Then we saw another group of deer entering from the east as we expected. This group fed down the hill and ended up about 30 yards in front of the blind.
Okay, one on the left. Yeah. I'll wait for her to turn broadside and then I'll take her.
37 yards, measure 40-yard bend. There you go.
Are you good, Tyler?
Easy.
Yeah, click the safety. You good?
No.
Let me know when. One on the left.
37 yards, I swear.
Yeah. Oh, she's moving.
40. No, she's not.
They're moving. I can't.
30 yard on the front one.
Something alerted the deer and I could tell they were on edge.
No. Ray, take that front one that's just standing there.
Front one.
30.
You ready?
Closest to us.
Are you
30
ready?
yards.
Are you ready?
You nailed it. You nailed it perfect. Watch where she goes in right beside that tree. You look good to me, didn't you, Tyler? Perfect job. Perfect job.
Good.
Perfect job.
Out of way.
Perfect job.
They started to look like they might spook, might not. So we decided to just, when the one turned broadside, I went ahead and shot, and it looked like a good shot. I felt like I had a good follow through, so hopefully we'll be able to go up and recover it.
Tough to track. As normal here at the proving grounds, everyone huddled up to help us recover the deer.
Hey, Rhett found it.
We got arrows.
Yeah, it broke.
It broke.
No, that's a crossbow. That's
Yeah, crossbow, and it is covered with blood.
So it was
Just
good?
leave her there. Yeah, you're covered with blood.
Solid.
We recovered the arrow, picked up a blood trail, and let Ray take the lead.
There's some.
Okay, keep going.
There it is.
There you go.
Normally I don't hunt on weekdays just because I have a lot of homework, but I've been like, homework later, hunting now. I've been hunting since the start of bow season and like actually taking it really seriously, but I haven't been able to shoot anything yet, but I've always seen a bunch of deer, but they've never been in range. So finally tonight, this one came in range and got a good shot, so that's really exciting.
After pictures and celebration, of course we continued the tradition and let Ray drag the deer back to the Yamaha. I'm very thankful my dad taught me how to hunt, and I can continue sharing those events and memories with my daughters. Number 10, 30 to go. The following afternoon, Dad still hadn't quite recovered and the kids were all busy, so Tyler and I went to a plot we call Gobbler Knob and climbed in a couple summits. It wasn't long before we saw the first deer, a spike. I knew he'd get a pass, but fortunately, a doe was behind him. I don't know why this always seems to happen, but the young buck fed out in front of the tree and even in front of the hay bale blind, while the doe ventured into the timber and didn't give me a shot. I'm glad it worked out this way because I really enjoyed watching this young buck feed all around and even sniff and mess with the hay bale blind. Finally, the doe returned out to the road edge and presented me with a 30-yard shot. My shot was a little high, but I knew the drag would be easy. Oftentimes when I shoot a deer and it runs off or makes a disturbance, I'll instantly hit my messenger grunt call. That disturbance probably sounds like a buck chasing a doe, and pair that with a good grunt call, that's liable to bring a larger buck in the area. It wasn't long after I hit the call that the young buck was right below our tree, clearly searching for the source of that grunt. Then, a mature doe came up the same road as the first two deer. She became just a little alert when she passed the dead doe and then started feeding in the plot. I try to pick trees that have good cover when I'm placing stands. And this one had about a 5 or 6 inch limb just to the left of my stand. I took the shot when she finally squared up, and this one was high also. Gosh, I'm shooting high tonight. Clearly I had a case of doe fever as I spined both these does, but both of them dropped in their tracks, and Tyler certainly wasn't complaining.
My sight pattern's a little bit high tonight, but 2 for 2 and no dragging, so I'm gonna take it.
In the Ozark Mountains, shooting a deer is not the only consideration, but the drag can be even a bigger consideration. You want to be able to get the yum haul as close to the deer as you can.
It's night till lunch tomorrow.
It's gonna rain hard. The pre-rut is heating up here in the Ozark Mountains, as just this morning, Tyler and I were out again. I hit the grunt call a few times and had different yearling bucks respond to the call. Starting live video. Hello folks, let's try this again. I messed up because my daughter was calling. I always take my daughter's calls, but we're back live tonight. I don't want to be sticking my knife all in that eye around, because folks, that's one of the best cuts of meat. Now, turn it this way, Tyler, so people can see. I got to film and hunt this afternoon. We planted food plots today. All of us went out there and planted 16 bags of seed today because it's going to rain tonight. I'm just blessed with a great job. We have a goal of removing 40 does this year at the proving grounds, and so far we've taken 12. In the afternoons when we take does, we usually process them and do a Facebook Live, sharing techniques from that hunt and other tips. So be watching our Facebook and tune in for the next Skinning Shed Facebook Live. Pops, thank you for asking. If you're a Christian and you believe in intentional prayer, pray for my dad. He got over the cancer, but the chemo was tough on him. And my dad just had his 87th birthday the other day. We took him hunting, and man, had a fawn come in. He didn't want to shoot. Had a 2-year-old 8-pointer come in. He thought it was a big deer. I never told him anything different. He got so excited. It was like a 7-year-old. Not 87, but a 7-year-old. And so, of course, my dad, 87-year-old, has got a green tag shooting any deer on my farm. I think he's going to get better and be back out here hunting with us this fall. So, y'all pray for Pops, and I'll keep you posted. Just bunch as much as you're writing, you're praying for Pops, and I really appreciate that. That's very important to me. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I can't say our names because they're just rolling through too fast. Thank you. And did y'all know this? I mean, I keep records. I'm a data geek. About 25% of the mature bucks I've tagged in my life have been tagged when I already shot a doe out of that stand, that hunt. And they come smelling that doe. The best thing you can do is have a dead doe laying in front of your stand. Don't get out of your stand and walk over there to it and drag it in the woods and go back. If you would like to learn more about deer hunting and management techniques, subscribe to our Growing Deer channel. It can be really busy during the pre-rut, trying to spend time with family, work, and go hunting. But even if you're busy, don't forget to slow down and enjoy creation, and most importantly, take time every day to be quiet and listen to what the Creator is saying to you. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.